Hey guys, it's Paul from Online Sax Academy. So recently I was asked by a member about what's called the diatonic circle of fifths and what the difference is between that and our usual traditional circle of fifths. Now previously I've done a video on this standard circle of fifths and I put together a workout to learn common scales, arpeggios and licks and phrases. So if you're not familiar with the circle of fifths, you can also check out that video and the link to that is down below. But just a very brief reminder, the circle of fifths is a way of organising our 12 musical notes so that as we step around the circle, we're always moving, if we go clockwise, up what's called the interval of a perfect fifth, or if we go anti-clockwise, we're moving down a perfect fifth. It also organises all the key signatures as well, so that at 12 o'clock we've got C major, which has 0 sharps and flats, and as you step around clockwise you're adding 1 sharp each time, and as you step around anti-clockwise you're adding in 1 flat each time. So the circle of fifths is an amazing tool for learning things in different keys, and that's what that previous video was all about. For the diatonic circle of fifths, what we do is zoom in on one particular key. So for example, if we take the key of C major, because there's no sharps and flats, it's nice and easy. And in the scale of C major, we have 7 different notes. Now what we can do is then organise these notes by an interval of a fifth each time. So why are we bothering to do this? I mean, why is this useful? So this becomes really useful when you start to think of each of those notes not as just a single note, but as a chord. As you may know, we can build chords from our major scale, and all of these chords are known as the diatonic chords of C major. Again, I have a previous video about how chords are made from scales and why that's useful to know particularly when you're improvising, and the link to that is also down below. And when we distribute these chords around the diatonic circle of fifths, you'll see there's some really common chord progressions that pop out. For example, here you can see we've got known as a 2-5-1, the most standard chord progression in all of jazz. But it's not only that. If you go 2 spaces back, you can see you've got chord 3 to chord 6. And 3-6-2-5 is yet another really common jazz chord progression, also known as a turnaround. In fact, chords moving this way, often anti-clockwise around the cycle, is one of the most common ways that one chord will change to another. Okay, so for the first exercise, what we're going to be doing is playing these chords just from the bottom to the top, playing the 1st, 3rd, 5th and 7th, and make our way around this diatonic cycle. What this is teaching you is all the 7th chords, which are typically used in jazz, that are in the overall key of C major. So if you're playing a tune in C major, more than likely you're going to see mostly these kinds of chords. Of course, in jazz there may be other chords as well, but you'll probably find that the majority of the chords come from this set of 7. Now you can get the free PDF for this over at onlinesaxacademy.com, and the link to that is down below. And if you're a tenor sax player or you play a concert pitch instrument like guitar, then I've also got a transposed backing track version. I'm going to be performing this on alto sax, but you can get your transposed backing track version so you can perform it in C major on your particular instrument. And that's also available free to download from the link below. Alright, so here's that first exercise. Okay, for the second exercise, we're going to have a deeper look at the 7th chords and how they move around the cycle and why this sounds so pleasing to our ears. Now, first of all, we're going to isolate the 3rd and the 7th. Now, the 3rds and the 7ths of chords are really the notes that give the chord its particular quality, its particular colour. For example, here we've got 4 kinds of C chord. We've got the C major 7, the C dominant 7, the C minor 7, and the C minor major 7. Now all 4 of these chords obviously have the note C as their root note because they're C chords, but they also all have the note G as their 5th. And it's the 3rd and the 7th that's doing all the work to create the sound quality of the chord. So for this next exercise, what we're going to do is remove the 5th. So on the C chord, we start with this. Now we're going to move in the same direction, anti-clockwise, so our next chord is our F major 7 chord. Again, we're removing the 5th, but now instead of playing root 3rd 5th like we did with the C major chord, we're actually going to switch around the 3rd and the 7th. And the reason why we do this is because it creates a smoother voice leading with those 3rds and 7ths. You can see how that 7th of the F major chord is the same as the previous 3rd of the C major chord. And you can see how the third of the F major chord is only one step down from the seventh of the C major chord. And we're going to repeat this process all the way around the cycle. Now again, remember you can get the free PDF for this, so you don't have to work this all out in your head first of all. And there's those transposed backing tracks if you play another instrument as well. Also, premium members will have access to this same workout, but transposed into all 11 other keys as well. So you have 12 workouts in total. So for example, if you really wanted to get to know the chords that are in a particular key, say G major, then you can print out the G major workout and have a go at playing that. Okay, so here's that second workout, now with that smooth voice leading between the thirds and the sevenths. Now ideally what you're aiming to do when you're doing this is really be aware of what's the name of the chord you're on and what's the third and what's the seventh. And what this is doing is getting you to know these chords much more deeply. So say for example when you see a B half diminished chord symbol, you know straight away what the thirds and sevenths are. You're not having to calculate it because you've drilled it with one of these exercises. And having that immediate recall at your fingertips really helps you when you're starting to improvise and play over chords. And if you're interested in learning how to improvise, then do check out the Learn to Improvise course at onlinesaxacademy.com, which steps you through right from the very beginning. But even if you're not someone that's learning to improvise or that doesn't interest you, you can use these exercises. It's a great way to become more familiar with these particular keys that you're practicing, to learn all these arpeggios that are inside each of those keys. And it's a great one for your fingers as well, as it's got some unusual jumps, some larger leaps of say a seventh, as say we go from that F to the E in that second exercise. Okay, that's it for this week. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss out on future lessons, and I'll see you guys next week.